Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the 2016 Mayor's State of the City presentation. I am Dave Norman, and it is my privilege to be the city manager of this beautiful city. Before we begin, please note that we have provided question forms on that lectern at the head of the aisle there. So if you have any questions pertaining to the projects and programs that will be presented in the mayor's presentation tonight, please write those down and place them in this box after his presentation. We'll collect those and then I'll read them to the mayor. Joining us tonight is Public Works Director Dave Klotzel, and he will be assisting us. And also assisting us is Roger Pichardo, the city's management analyst. So now, please join me in welcoming to the podium Mayor Mike Morgan.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening, and to those that are watching us at home. It is always a pleasure to share with you the state of our city and many of the great things the city is doing and has accomplished to make Camarillo one of the best places to work, live, and play. First, I'd like to recognize I have no fellow city councilmen here, but I'd like to congratulate them for dedicating their hard work to make the city the best they can make it. We do have some staff here this evening. I'd like to recognize our staff because we have one of the best, we've always had some of the best staff people in the county, always. Our city manager, Dave Norman. Dave? Dave's done a great job since he came aboard in the spring, so we're all proud of what's going on, and Dave's done a good job. Director of Public Works, Dave Klotzel. Dave's fairly new, but he's doing a fantastic job as our Public Works Director here in the city. I'd also like to thank you, the residents, business owners, and community leaders of Camarillo for your continued support and confidence in our city council and administration over the years. Today, I'm going to provide an overview of the current conditions of our city and our operations, which allow us to deliver quality and efficient services and provide the facilities and programs that people need every day. The categories shown on the slide represent our key services and how we continue to be successful. The City Council has adopted a balanced budget of $121.5 million for the city and the Camarillo Sanitary District. Financially, we continue to be a very strong city. This does not happen by chance. It is a result of good city policy and management. We are financially AAA rated, one of the only few cities in California that attained this status. So we're very proud of what we've done, and knowing there's a handful like us that are AAA rated financially. We Camarians sometimes forget that our city has become a beautiful place to live. This is the reason that Camarillo was listed as 23rd in recent rankings of the best places to live in the United States. Again, we forget that sometimes, that we have such a beautiful place to live in. This slide shows our top revenue sources. I'm not going to cover all of them, but we'll discuss 4 key categories. First, we are one of the lowest property tax cities in Ventura County. For example, a $1 million property will only generate $300 in property taxes. So clearly, we need a diverse revenue stream to cover the costs of all of our services. Sales tax is a very important revenue source that has been stable. A significant portion of this revenue comes from destination retail. As freeway congestion gets worse, regional retail is likely to be impacted. This is one of the reasons the proposed transportation sales tax measure is critical to our economic vitality. Our water, wastewater, and recycle water programs are important services that require a substantial amount of revenue. Yet our rates are some of the lowest rates in the county. Again, we're low. Everywhere we go, we're getting low, aren't we? And we're doing a good job of maintaining our services. Finally, funds from the Transportation Act, the Landscape and Lighting Maintenance District, and from gas tax also contribute to this. These transportation revenue categories are all that we receive to cover the costs of streets and landscape maintenance. Contrast this with the next slide showing our top expenses. This slide lists the top expenses for the city. We'll discuss these categories in more detail throughout the presentation. I want to highlight the costs of street and landscape maintenance. While we receive $5 million in revenue, it costs us $11.3 million annually for their maintenance. This is another reason the proposed transportation sales tax is so important. Without funding to fill this gap, the future quality of our largest asset, our streets, could be at risk. While this is a tax, it does have a sunset clause. And this measure will allow us to leverage federal funds, nearly doubling our spending power. We're the only county in Southern California that does not have this transportation tax. Without the local tax leverage, some of our current gas tax dollars go to other counties. Now let's look at the Community Development Department. The Community Development Department facilitates the implementation of the city's general plan, zoning ordinances, and development standards. With improving economy, we are seeing land development projects starting up again. There are several key projects I want to talk about, starting with the Ellicora Springville project. Approximately 48 acres of Springville specific planned area is currently under construction. This site is being developed by Ellicora and includes for sale units, including single family and townhouses. And by the way, it also includes in this project alone, a 5-acre park. In addition, there are 60 affordable apartments units are currently under construction. We have to meet our needs, our affordability needs in the city also. Instead of just high end, upper end, or middle, we also have to meet our affordable end so that we do have housing for workers. Now let's move to the next one. A multi-tenant retail building was recently completed within the Camarillo Village Square Shopping Center at the Arneal and Las Posas intersection. The building currently has 2 tenants, Starbucks and Sweet Frog Yogurt. How many of you have been in and seen Sweet Frog Yogurt? Anyone had some yogurt there? Are gone in and had a little bit of Starbucks? You got to go see this place, guys. I think you'll go back for the yogurt. It's fantastic. And it's a lot better than that lot that was there that was an empty lot for ages where an old gas station was. So now we got something at least looks presentable with all the plantings and things around and services a need. Now let's look at the D.R. Horton and Standard Pacific. Located at the south end of Village at the Park, D.R. Horton and Standard Pacific consist of single-family homes ranging from 3,000 to 3,500 square feet. The projects are wrapping up construction on the final units. There are only 3 units remaining to sell, so that project is complete. These are the first projects in Camarillo required to meet the state's new water conservation guidelines. For example, the lawns can no longer use spray irrigation, so they use subsurface drip irrigation. Now let's look at Village Gateway. Village Gateway project is comprised of 3 residential planned developments located within the former Imation site at the east side of Lewis Road. Building permits are expected to be pulled this month. And by the way, the green line that you see, if we can point it out, see the green line that starts right there? And finish it up, Roger, take it all the way through. The green line will go all the way through to meet Lewis. This way, it avoids people from Village at the Park from going all the way around and coming back, or going all the way to Pleasant Valley and coming back. So it's going to help improve the transportation issues out there. The green line shown on the map represents Mike Losa Drive, which will allow a straight cut through into Village Gateway. Now let's move to the next one. Now let's talk about the St. Demetrius Greek Church. Phase 1 is complete for construction of an 8,300 square foot Agape Center building, landscaping, and parking lot located at the northeast corner of Wood Creek Road and Santa Rosa Road. Future phases of the church use will consist of sanctuary and a fellowship hall. Next. Construction of a multi-tenant industrial building has been approved and a portion completed on the Camarillo Ranch Road at the corner of Mission Oaks Boulevard. Institution Ale, a local brewery with a tasting room is open for business as the building is shown on the slide. How many of you been to this one? Been out to Constitution Ale? Fantastic, huh? It meets a need that we have here in Camarillo. And they outgrew where they were before and had to have a larger building. But it's like going into a winery. You had like casks and wineries. Well, you've got the brewery facilities there to see that too and enjoy what's there. Now let's talk about, for a minute, let's talk about St. John's Pleasant Valley Hospital, something else that's occurring in town that's going to improve our city. St. John's needed to relocate their acute care facilities to meet current seismic requirements. The new state-of-the-art 72,000 square foot acute care tower is currently under construction. The existing acute care facility will be relocated into the newer tower. The project was originally approved on April 7th, 2015. The hospital anticipates opening the new tower in 2018. New high school we have is starting its second year of classes. Recently completed as part of the Rancho Campana High School is the community's first large-scale indoor performing arts center for concerts, plays, and seats about 700 people. The Performing Arts Center will also be available for local organizations to rent for plays, concerts, and meetings. Now let's talk about the significant improvements in Old Town. There's a lot going on in Old Town that's going to really improve the whole area. First, you're wondering about the former fire station at Disdar Park. Let's start with the former fire station, which is located on Ventura Boulevard in Old Town, adjacent to Disdar Park. We plan to upgrade the adjoining park as the fire station is being improved for use by others. Take a close look at the slide that you see in the left-hand corner, and you'll notice some improvements that we're looking at. The little circle in the left-hand corner is potentially a stage. A new stage will be built in there for concerts and other performances for that park. This is not the final plan, by the way. This is just an example of what we've looked at and are going to continue improving. So the City Council will be looking at that this year. St. Mary Magdalene Church is considering purchasing the fire station, and we are in early exclusive discussions with them. The Hotel and Conference Center site is proposed for a 10-acre site at the southeast corner of US 101 Las Posas Road. The city has entered into an exclusive negotiation agreement with TM Meehan and Associates for development of this site. The project will potentially provide for 250 hotel rooms and a conference center which should be able to seat approximately 700. And by the way, this is not our final drawing. This is what was proposed before. Meehan is now preparing other architect to show the hotels that are going to go in. Now let's look at a mixed-use development in Camarillo Old Town. This construction, by the way, this is a beautiful building. If you haven't been down there, 2088's across the street from it. It's turned into a fantastic-looking building for the city. Construction is finishing up on this mixed-use project at the corner of Ventura Boulevard and Fur Street. The project consists of a two-story mixed-use development with ground floor commercial space and a second floor for 4 apartments. Again, this may bring more affordable housing into the city. As our city grows, so does the college. And the college is going to need housing. Some of these can accommodate that. Let's go to the next slide. Cedar Oak mixed-use project includes a mixed-use development with ground floor retail uses and 23 residential units above. It also includes an open-air restaurant within the complex. If you look toward the middle of that complex, there's going to be an open-air restaurant with also seating inside. What we're looking at is a beautiful project. There'll be parking below, and then on the sides, you'll see the angle parking now, not parallel parking. So you're going to increase the parking all around this place on both streets. Again, their parking will be mainly underneath the complex. The project is a former redevelopment project. Subsequently, the city entered into a sale and development agreement with Aldersgate Investment, who will own and manage this project. The Ventura County Transportation Commission is planning to purchase from the city the former courthouse building at Old Town. This is where our farmers market is. This project has received approval from the Planning Commission to modify and update the building and the parking lot. VCTC is currently preparing plans to submit to the Building and Safety Department for plan check. As you've noticed, a lot of activity has been occurring in Old Town. These projects in Old Town will greatly enhance the ambiance and beauty of Old Town. And secondly, on that, when we talked about go back to the Ventura County Transportation and buying that building, they're going to put a significant amount of money into the front of that building to make it look better, to make it match what we've got down and make Old Town look even better. Now let's look at the former library. A group of local educators and child development advocates are performing due diligence to determine if the building would be suitable for a children's museum. I'd like to tell you who they are, but I can't right now. We anticipate them conducting their due diligence in mid-October, so then we'll know if they're going to take it or not. Now let's look at the Department of Administrative Services. The Administrative Services Department oversees library operations, information systems, fleet maintenance, facility management, and human resources and risk management. That's a lot of work for one head of that department, isn't it? Now, one key project the department has been working on is a new website. The website will be designed around the city's needs and bring up to date many features and functions, ensuring the city has a premier site. Our focus will be to expand online services, provide easier navigation and search capabilities, maintain consistent look and feel across all the pages, thus improving the overall user experience. We are looking forward to its unveiling late this year. In the meantime, visit our current website for information on various city programs. One program I want to highlight is the recycling program. The good work our residents and community nonprofit groups and businesses have made Camarillo one of the best recycling cities in California. Again, here we are, best again. Thanks to your efforts, the city has a remarkable recycling rate of 73% recycling. For that, I commend everyone. Job well done. Keep up the good work on recycling. Again, we're one of the best in California. Camarillo Library. Regarding Camarillo Library, since its opened doors in 2011, we have purchased over 159,000 new items, including books, magazines, and e-audiobooks. We've issued over 75,000 new library cards since its opening. We've provided numerous programs that are far too extensive to list here today, but if you look on, if you want a list of those programs for the next 2 months, visit our city website and check the City Scene newsletter. You will find that a lot of the programs are going on in that library. Adults, students from all levels, and many meetings are held at our conference rooms has led our library to becoming one of the key gathering spots in our community. When you pass by on the weekends, you'll see that lot has got a lot of cars. That means people are making use of our library. Now let's look at the next one. This is a young adult center. The library will grow in capacity as we add a young adult center within the current library. We hope to begin construction in early 2017. The young adult area will serve as a learning center for Rancho Campana High School students, Rancho Campana High School students, and young adults alike. Maybe some from Camarillo High School also will be going by to enjoy that facility. Now let's look at the Russell Fisher Business Collection. We also have the Russell Fisher Business Collection, which opened in 2013, specializes in assisting the local business community. Russell Fisher was a Camarillo citrus farmer and library patron whose generous bequest made possible the creation of the dedicated Center for Business Research, Innovation, and Collaboration. We encourage you to check out the growing collection of resources. Under our economic development category, I might add that the city is also actively helping our businesses by connecting them with other resources such as the Ventura County Economic Development Collaborative, which is available free of charge, free to all businesses. This program offers a loan program for businesses that may have difficulty obtaining traditional financing. There's also the Small Business Development Collaborative of Ventura County, which also works with businesses of all sizes and everything from startup planning and helping to much more. The Department of Public Works provides a broad array of services for our community and has completed several key projects in the past year. We currently have several projects under construction. Projects under construction. I'd like to now review some of those projects that are completed or under construction. Listed on this slide are recently completed projects and those that are currently underway. I will briefly explain each of these projects. First, we have recently repaired approximately 9,000 feet of sanitary sewer pipes. We use trenchless technology without cutting into streets. And you can see this on the slide to minimize impacts on traffic. This is things that it goes underground and extrudes and repairs your sewer lines. Now, let's look at Camarillo Springs debris barriers. I know we've got some out there that are interested in this. Let me now tell you about the Camarillo Springs area and the debris barriers. In December 2014 and January 2015, debris flows in 3 barrancas damaged homes in Camarillo Springs area. The city implemented a $3 million debris barrier project to restore the hillside safety. The barriers are based on the most advanced technology in the industry. Here are some of the photos of 2 of the 5 debris barriers that were installed. You'll notice a catch basin here, and you notice the upper end up the hill that catches rocks and other things that would possibly come down. Now let's look at the Santa Rosa Road widening, which you've been seeing. Those that have gone out Santa Rosa Road have seen the traffic there now because of what we're doing. Now I'd like to cover the Santa Rosa Road. We are currently widening the last 2 lane segments of Santa Rosa Road within the city. It is located between Villa Latina Drive and San Rafael Way. The improvement will provide 2 lanes in each direction, bike lanes, raised medians, and sidewalks. Santa Rosa Road wall construction there on Santa Rosa Road, you'll notice that the Great Walls are going up as to avoid significant impacts to adjacent properties. A 23-foot high wall is being constructed with the project. But now let's see, how do we mitigate that? Along with the Great Wall, I call it Great Wall, construction, we are also installing planters, landscaping, and screen the wall and beautify the whole area. As you notice, there'll be trees and other elements at each different level. Construction is anticipated to end later this year. The project will improve both traffic flow and safety. Now let's go to, under our pavement management program, a project just underway will slurry seal arterials and residential streets shown on this map. And I think you've seen a lot of this going on in different places around Camarillo. If not out on Temple or out in Mission Oaks, I can name several I've run across today. But it's going to continue as we're putting in $8 million into pavement rehabbing and management. Soon to begin is the overall project with streets also shown on this map. Those streets right there are the streets that's the latest ones that we will be finishing. The city has always made it a priority to keep our streets in good condition. As I indicated in the budget discussion, this is a growing challenge due to diminishing transportation funds. Now let's look at West Ponderosa. Many of you know about the Ponderosa corridor. It goes out to Springville Bridge. Springville Bridge was needed because we had a level F at one time. The only F in town, traffic-wise, at an intersection was at Las Posas Road and Daly. You'd have to wait more than 2 stoplights. That's when we classify as level F. Well, this eliminates that. You no longer have an F there today. It's a free flowing, not free flowing, but it's normal because of some of this offsets that we've done. Moving on the west, work is being coordinated with a land development project to widen and pave Ponderosa Drive west of Las Posas and Springville Drive. To avoid 4 years of phased road construction, the city worked with 3 developers to build the road in less than a year. This minimizes impact to the surrounding community. The good news, folks, is that the road and median landscaping is scheduled to be completed and fully operational by the end of the month. If you go out there today, you'll see that the traffic is starting to flow better. Now let's look at a project regarding effluent diversion pipeline is underway to install more than a mile of 24-inch recycled water main at the south end of the city. The pipeline will supply up to 2 million gallons per day of recycled water for several farms. You'll notice that goes out to Lewis Road, and it passes through the farmland, but it's coming from on the right side, our sanitary district. By the way, our water is tertiary treated. You can almost drink it. Farmers can't wait for it because it's great water. Waters will be able to use our recycled waters, thus reducing groundwater pumping. So they won't have to pump more water out of the ground, thus saving that element of our water in the county. This pipeline will also eliminate the need for wastewater treatment plant to discharge into the Conejo Creek, because instead of discharging our water into Conejo Creek, it's going to go through this pipeline and feed the farmland. Again, not many people are doing this. Camarillo is one of the first in our county. While we have a number of future projects planned, I'd like to highlight 3 that are coming up soon. Now, let's talk about a project that will construct a traffic signal at Arneal and Dunnigan to improve traffic safety and flow. We've talked about this for a long time. Well, it's coming to fruition now. This will help alleviate traffic in the entrance to the shopping center there at Las Posas and Arneal Road. Funding for the project includes a federal grant. The project will cost about $350,000. A contract was recently awarded by the City Council for construction and is anticipated to begin in a few months. Let's look at the Carmen Drive. You've noticed when you pass Carmen now that all the dead stuff, all the grass is dying and so on. Now, let's talk about that and why. As a result of the governor's drought executive order mandates, median turf can no longer be watered. The city will be replacing the turf on Carmen Drive with water-efficient landscaping and irrigation. Construction is anticipated this next year. While we are working on Carmen Drive turf replacement, it provides an opportunity to implement drought-tolerant landscape around City Hall. Construction is anticipated next year. Now let's look at our Camarillo area transit. Regarding our Camarillo transit, overall ridership continues to increase, primarily due to the popularity of the trolley. How many of you have ridden the trolley? Good. You like it. Everybody likes that trolley. It keeps increasing in numbers. The CAT system provides 15,000 rides a month, with 6,000 served by the trolley alone. Those riding the trolley, a lot of them are college students, and a lot of them are students and others. But as the college goes, that bus, that trolley is going to be needed more. The trolley represents a very successful partnership between the business community, Cal State University Channel Islands, and the city. It's a free ride. If you want to take a ride sometime, you get on in one place, and half an hour later, it comes back to the same place. So leave your car, get on the trolley, get off wherever you want to get off, get back on later, and come back to your car. It's a lot of fun. Furthermore, the city recently added 4 new buses. We are trying a new type of bus with a special kneeling feature and ramp that improves services to seniors and disabled persons. Now let's look at water conservation. The city recently reduced water conservation requirements from Stage 2 with 20% goal to Stage 1 with a goal of 10% reduction in water use. And by the way, we met our water use goals long before any other cities. That's why we only had to do 20% when Thousand Oaks had to do 36%, because we'd already been doing water conservation efforts, and so they required us to only do 20%. Due to the significant rainfall in Northern California, the state lifted conservation mandates. However, our region did not receive much rain, and we feel some conservation is essential. Stage 1 limits the city water customers to 4 days a week for outdoor watering versus 3 days a week has been mandated in the last 18 months. The city has been losing 3 trees a week as a result of the drought. Allowing some increases in outdoor watering will hopefully help preserve our urban forest and landscape. Status on water conservation will be reviewed in coming months to consider if more conservation is required. Now that we've talked about water conservation, let's talk about restrictions on new water customers. First, I want to assure you that current customers are not expected to further conserve water as a result of new development. City Council recently approved amendments to the Water Conservation Ordinance that adds permanent water restrictions for new water customers while not impacting existing water customers. New water customers must offset their demand by implementing permanent water saving strategies for participating existing customers. As an example, a toilet retrofit program that is underway. Existing 5-gallon toilets, which are generally in our older homes, are replaced with 1-gallon toilets. This will save 20,000 gallons per household per year. That's a lot of water savings for just changing the toilet. Also, we look at this and we say, what else have we done with this? Well, the toilets, and also now you heard before that they cannot do any above ground watering. All new places have to have drip systems and hopefully drought tolerant resistant landscaping. So that's another one of those that fits into this category of preserving water. Existing customers, by the way, receive the toilets for free because developers have paid for the expenses. New development is required to have drip irrigation or drought tolerant landscaping, like I told you before. Camarillo receives a steady flow of water that flows from the north. We've been trying, how many of you know how far that water flows to us to get here from the north? It's over 300 miles it takes to get here, that water from up Northern California. We have been trying for a number of years to receive approval to move forward with a $50 million desalination plant to treat brackish groundwater through a reverse osmosis system. Design and build will take about 2 years to complete. Due to the new state legislation requiring groundwater sustainability plans, the project could be on hold indefinitely. We're going to continue fighting for it, though, folks, because that's an answer to our water problems. If we build that plant, if it gets built, 70% of our water will come from that desal plant. And if you don't know, the brackish water below us, there's billions of gallons, not millions, billions of gallons of brackish water below us that keeps collecting from Simi Valley, basically, and from some of the valley. But it comes in and collects under Camarillo. And it's now impacting our own drinking water. We've had to take one of our wells at the east end and push it to the west end because of brackish water getting into our level below, the Fox Canyon aquifer, and causing it to be too salty. So by us taking some of this brackish water out of there and using it and turning it into drinking water, like Dasani, it tastes like Dasani, by the way. It is reverse osmosis, and that's what you look at. Dasani says reverse osmosis. Well, if we get better water and we get stable water, we won't have to worry about the delta breaking. Because right now, if you go to any conference, which I've gone to many on water, that's my specialty, and everyone will tell you, somewhere along the line between now and 30 years from now, they anticipate deltas breaking. How many of you know what delta really means? What's up there? Okay. The delta isn't just water running into the bay. It's big islands, miles wide, miles long, that have peat moss that the farmers discovered decades ago. And they built 60-foot or better dikes around the whole area. And they're growing crops there. But the water's up here. If there's a problem with the dike, it could be an earthquake, it could be a major flood and break that dike. One of them, or both of them, or some of them. We would not have water in our aqueduct 3 months to 3 years. So you have to consider, what's 3 years? If we were without water for 3 years in the aqueduct, this desal plant is that important for us because we will be independent. So we're looking forward. We'll know more about this on September 28th meeting with the Fox Canyon Groundwater Maintenance Agency, which controls the water allocations for our area. Once we get their approval, we move forward. Again, I told you it'll take about 2 years to complete. And you'll have better water, stable water. Now let's look at our police department. By the way, our sheriff's department, which we contract with, is a fantastic department. They've got a great record for law enforcement record in the whole state. Law enforcement services for the city has been provided on a contract basis by the Sheriff's Office since the city's incorporation in 1964. We have a great team of deputies and administrative personnel led by Commander Monica McGrath for a short time longer. She's not here this evening, but we're losing Monica. She's retiring, and we'll be picking up our new commander here soon. Our police department includes 56 sworn deputies and 11 professional staff members funded by the city. There are also an additional 21 sworn officers and 6 professional staff members funded by the County of Ventura working out of the city police station who serve the surrounding unincorporated areas around the city. I mean, some have to patrol Malibu, in the county area of Malibu. Some have to go in other far areas in Santa Rosa Valley and others to patrol, but they come across our city. They are in addition to our police presence in the city and are also available for assistance in major disasters or incidents. So with them coming across the city, it's like us having more police officers. If something disastrous happens, or a burglary or a robbery, we've got extra deputies coming across our city, coming back to, report in. Additionally, we have a great volunteer program with 36 citizen patrol members and 28 DART team members. Both provide thousands of hours of volunteer service in our community. And I think you've seen them around. If you've seen an accident, you've seen a guy in a uniform, it's usually the guy directing traffic is a citizen patrol and sometimes a DART team member. If you have a disaster, floods and things, they'll both be called out. All have been trained on how to handle floods and so on. DART team is trained in everything, first aid, the whole shot, so they can come to emergencies. They go to every one of our events. The football games, they're there with a truck. So we're very lucky. Not every city has these things. And how we discovered the DART team aspect was when we had a disaster up in Northern California. Well, Charlotte and I saw it on TV. When we had little guys that were roping off things, we're going, who are they? They're not the sheriffs. Well, we took a trip up there and found out all about the DART team, the Disaster Assistance Response Team, and what they did to help offset things for the police, so it freed their time for other things. So we decided then there, bring it back to the council, let's decide to have our own DART team and support it. And it's been very valuable to the city. Now let's go to crime statistics. Now let's take a look at our latest crime stats. Here's the latest of crime stats for the first 6 months of 2016 as compared same period in 2015. Red numbers indicate increase in crime. Although statistics show an increase in overall crime, 12%, overall arrests are up over 4%, Data is still being compiled to measure the consequences of Prop 47. Remember Prop 47 we all voted on? Thought it was a good thing? They call it the Safe Schools and Neighborhood Act. But what it did is it let populations of, I'll read it to you here. The proposition reduced several nonviolent felonies to misdemeanors, including drug-related offenses. In looking at the cases specific to Camarillo and Prop 47 crimes and arrests, the data indicates 33% of those arrested are repeat offenders that were released. So it's being, that Prop 47 itself has really affected us negatively. The offenses that occurred most frequently resulted from drugs, thefts, and identity theft. Auto thefts were elevated due to the large car hauler being stolen, and each car on the truck was counted as 8 separate cases. Sounds kind of how you can play with those stats, huh? Stole one truck, but you counted as 8 of them. And that helps skew our numbers when you do that kind of thing. It is also noted that some of the perpetrators in the past of other crimes were charged with several offenses as part of the same arrest. So it looks like there's 5 arrests. It's only one guy. They're charged with a bunch of them. And he'll probably end up, being guilty of 1 or 2. But that's, again, stats being played with. This causes our stat rate to artificially be increased. A majority of the suspects arrested during this time frame, last 6 months, did not reside in Camarillo. The rape category is alarming. Look at the rape category. See how high it is. But this is not a crime spree by any merits. It is due to expanded definition of criminal sexual assaults. They've redefined it, which is much broader than just rape. They still refer to all these crimes as rape. We've only had 1 rape this past 6 months. 1, not 10. It's just how they've categorized other sexual offenses, but not rape. Now let's look at Project Hope. Helping our community progress efficiently, known as HOPE, is a program developed by the police department and supported by the city of Camarillo to help our homeless population find sustainable housing options. Since this program's inception, it was launched in 2013, 125 people have been helped off the street and provided with permanent housing. However, you will continue to see homeless individuals that refuse our assistance, so that you'll see some ladies that you've recognized, I'm sure, along the way, but they don't want help and they don't want to leave. And if they're not a danger to themselves or a danger to the others, we can't do much about it. Now let's look at the study with the COP program. This new program is a partnership with the city and the City Camarillo Library and the Ventura County Office of Education. Starting this month, the school resource officer for Rancho Campana transitioned from school site duties to work at the library from 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. The deputy will interact with the youth of our community on a more informal and educational basis. Weekly guest speakers are planned to educate our youth about potential careers and how to engage in community service. And we need to teach our new generations how to be community service oriented, helping as volunteers, like I showed you with the DART team and the others. We need to have the younger people coming up with that same kind of a thought. The deputy will provide mentorship, educate our youth regarding life skills, and even assist with job applications and resume preparation. And a lot of this will be taking place in that youth center there at the library. I'd like to thank everyone for coming and joining us this evening, for us to give you an opportunity to view our overall status of our city. And I think when I named all those number 1, number 23, the best, low, I think I kind of maybe was a little hard on you, but I think you need to know how well our city's being run and all the good things that are happening here. And the things that are going to come in the future that will make the city even better. Our city is almost finished. Next few years, it'll be finished. We're in the process of just polishing it up. That's all. And making it have what we need. I mentioned earlier, the conference center. We have nothing that will allow us to have major class reunions or other things in our city. They're big enough. And other things. This will help us meet that need and keep people here in Camarillo. I could go on all night long about this, but I'd like to now stop and say thank you, everyone. And now I'd like to open it for questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please use the speaker slips in the back. We'll be taking written questions. You can place your questions here in this box. I'm sorry, this box over here? Yeah, we're going to use the hand method over here to my left. Okay, good. Thank you.
And by the way, we do have one of our school board members here this evening. Let's ask the question. And part of that area of making us one of the best places to live is not just what the city's doing, but also what our school districts are doing and others to make this that kind of place to live.
Our first question, Mr. Mayor, is regarding the old library, and the question is what work is currently underway at the old library? Perhaps I can answer that question.
I was going to say, today I drove by and saw all that stuff there, and we don't know what's there going on.
For the person who asked this question, you may be seeing a lot of equipment in the parking lot of the old library. It's being used for staging for our road program, right, Dave? Yeah, for our slurry seal program. So they're not actually working on the building. We're just using it as a construction staging area right now. Next question from a questioner is, we had a slide for our schools last year. Could we add a slide for next year? Yes, we can certainly do that. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Another question here is, does the city have plans to improve the lack of parking in Old Town?
That's a good question, because one of those slides showed you some of that. If you noticed on that slide that showed the next to 2088, that big project that's going on there, beneath that project should house the residents' parking. And then if you look at this at the street now, it's all parallel parking on both sides of the building and behind. Now they're going to be angled parking all the way. That's going to add, I'm not sure how many, but I'd say at least 20.
Yes, it's in the
20
20s.
spaces be added to Old Town right there alone. So that's one way of doing it. Plus, what people don't know and don't understand is that the parking lot below, or where the farmer's market is, that is a public parking lot. All the way down to Glen, not Glen, but next to the school parking lot. That is a public parking lot. So when they come in and fill up the parking on the street, and people, oh, we're parking, just drive around the corner. Parking's right there next to you. And that will be off-site parking, too, for anything else that goes on in the city. So we do have a lot of parking to accommodate that kind of thing. It is an Old Town. And someone had mentioned maybe doing a parking structure. Well, you got to tell me where you're going to put it, because then you got to find out who's going to be impacted and how much it's going to cost and so on, because there's not many places in Old Town that you can now put a parking structure. You'd have to tear out houses and all kinds of things to do that. So if someone has some good suggestions, please bring it to us.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Mayor, has to do with the desalter. How much approximately has the city spent on the desalter project? And what's your best guess when the desalination plant, I think they mean desalter plant, will ever be built?
You know more about how much we spent so far.
Actually, Dave and I were talking about that. We're actually both relatively new, and as you know, that this project has spanned a period of approximately 10 years. At the beginning of that, there were some feasibility studies that were done for the feasibility of that project, engineering studies. Those typically are fairly expensive. They're usually in the range of about $50,000. Ongoing expenses at this time are mostly related to staff time. We're already on the clock. We're not getting paid extra to work on the desalter. And that's where the majority of our time is being spent. If you're still interested in pursuing this question, I don't have your name. You can provide me your name at the end of this, or you can contact the city clerk's office, do a special California Public Records Act request. We can certainly compile that information for you if it's of interest.
There's one other thing that you weren't here then, but way back when we started looking at this, we built a small desal plant to test it. At that time, we got a grant from the state of California to build that desal plant to test the water and see how much water we have here. So we have received grants too to make this happen. We also have a grant from the state of California right now. If we build it, we got a grant for $5 million to help, because they like what we're doing, making new, good water. And so we got a grant from the state of California sitting there waiting. And when we get the okay, we also have applied, or will be applying, for federal grants because of what we're doing, because they're dealing with that same problem in Sacramento right now. I mean, Washington, D.C. right now. There's a bill pending. I think it's still pending, right, Dave?
Yes.
By Feinstein regarding help financially to build things like this. And so hopefully we'll be in line. I know we went back and walked, Charlotte and I went back and walked and talked. We lobbied all over Washington, D.C. to try to see if we can get some funds. And it looks really good. It's just, we got to get the approval. We'll know more next month.
Okay. Next question, Mr. Mayor, is, will Farmers Market remain on the boulevard?
If they want to remain on the boulevard, it's kind of in their hands.
Let me answer this question. And this is probably... Yeah, because of VCTC, yes. In fact, we have designed that parking lot to accommodate ongoing events like Farmers Market and the Fiesta and those things. So, yes, it's our intention that they remain, and we've been in contact with hospice from the beginning in the planning of that parking lot.
And so you know, that parking lot wasn't sold to VCTC. We kept it because of this. The council said, we want to keep that parking lot so we can do with it what we want. And we made sure when we helped design the different landscape part of it, that helps accommodate your farmer's market along with Fiesta and other events that may want to come there. So we took that in consideration. And by the way, I think it's this year, this coming year, we're going to have hopefully, we're going to have the parking lots all redone. So all resurfaced, and they'll be building the rest of that project we're talking about, design of the landscaping. So it's going to look a lot better, and it'll accommodate the market. Yes.
Okay. I have several questions here from Matt Lorimer that have been asked in other forums, and he's received answers. They relate to the crime rate. We've answered that previously. He has asked a question regarding business owners' information on rideshare. We've responded that that is not a city obligation. And so we will move on to other questions. Mr. Bob Aaron asked, what can the city do to better provide all the city citizens use of the Pleasant Valley Fields, built with a $12 million loan and annual maintenance of $1 million a year? Why is use so restricted and users favored by PVRPD board?
Let me answer that a little bit, because we don't control that field. Park and Rec does, and Park and Rec is a separate agency. And we've heard about this problem, and we talked some about it, but Park and Rec owns and operates all of our athletic fields in the city. The only park that we own is right here and Disdar Park. Those are the only two that we own. The rest are for activities, baseball, football, everything else in their park, soccer. But that all belongs to the Park and Rec, and they have a tough budget. They have a tough time making sure everything meets their needs for the city, and they've done a good job. I got to tell you, they've done a fantastic job. The new park that you're talking about, I think that's Village at the Park. He's talking about
yes.
Village at the Park. Village at the Park is 55 acres. They have probably brought in more soccer players than any place in the county over the year. But in talking about how else to use that field, you're going to have to take that up with Park and Rec, because we don't control that at all.
Mr. Mayor, this next question it simply states, update on Camarillo sign on North 101. Says North 101? And what specifically is your question, Dave?
Well, in the past, there used to be a sign, but then it was knocked down, but I haven't seen any updates on how that's going to be replaced. I know you're working with Caltrans for the Camarillo sign entering going south on the 101.
Is our sign down?
Yeah, that's been gone.
Okay, I didn't notice.
Yeah, that sign that was on the southbound side there, close to the city limits, has been removed. And the other location that was considered and would continue to be considered is at the central Cloverleaf ramp area. And even improvements to the ramps there we have to coordinate with Caltrans. And they have no current plans to do any improvements there. When that project does come into fruition again and the Caltrans moves forward with improvements there, then that would be the opportunity we could look at the possibility of the sign there at that time. But right now there are no current plans to replace that sign.
You'll have to excuse me, because I was thinking you're talking about coming down the grade and the one on the right-hand side. That's still there. Okay, I was wondering, how'd that get knocked down? I haven't seen that. But if you're talking about the one at the other end of town going east. Okay, not south, going east. And if you're going that direction, that was knocked down a long time ago. It used to be over on, I think, McGrath's property. And we are working with Caltrans, or have been talking to them. If you know Caltrans, they're their own community. They're their own, they've got their own funding, and it's like having to work with another city, another body that controls themselves. So we're trying to get that back. And again, we looked at the Clover Central there on the right-hand side going south, but I haven't heard anything lately. They've been doing some improvements on the freeway, by the way. You notice those little things they've been doing at the off-ramps? I mean, at the interchanges? I'd like to ask staff, that'll be my question. I'd like to ask staff, why are they doing that?
Right. Caltrans has a current project to install what's called stormwater treatment devices. With the increased need to control and treat our stormwater runoff before it gets into the drains that head down to the ocean, as part of Caltrans' plan for the corridor on the 101, and also they have installations going on the 33, if you've been up that way, to install what's called some bioswales, vegetated strips. And also at Las Posas, there's a very large structure being installed. It's a sand filter, a mechanical sand filter device where stormwater that's collected off the freeway through the existing drainage system that's there, it'll first then go through some grassy swale strips with certain types of vegetation to remove pollutants, and then also that sand filter will remove pollutants before the stormwater continues on into the drainage system that's there now. At that location, it ends up in a Camry Hills drain, which then ends up down in Magoo Lagoon.
You'll see two more of those when you get near Del Norte. That I think they're doing that because it drains into the Revlon Slough. And so they've got two more of those little cutouts. I call them like parking pads, but that's what it's for, so that you all know.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes our questions for this evening.
No more questions?
No more questions?
Would anybody like to ask any other question?
Yes, I would like my question to be answered because I posed two. One of them was why you don't fund your bicycle patrol when crime is up 18%, over 33. When I submit a question to the city manager, he shouldn't cut me off. That's not polite. So the question is, and one of the things the police sergeant said, the captain, she said on there is you guys have a bicycle patrol. That bicycle patrol is not funded. I'd like to know why the city's not funding that patrol when the city of Thousand Oaks has one to give over 300 tickets, basically, and it helps out lower crime.
We're not Thousand Oaks, number one. Number two, the place you're talking about is the Factory Outlet Mall. And you got a letter from our staff.
That's not what I'm talking about, Mr.
Which were you talking about?
I said, in the crime report that was read in March, it said crime is up 18%, assaults are up 33. I said, why do you not fund your bicycle patrol? You list it as a way to solve crime, but it is not currently funded by the city. It's only used at the outlet mall, which costs the taxpayers $10,000. It's also used at special events. That bicycle patrol is not existent. It does not work all year round. It only does at special events. But you list it as a crime prevention, but it's not funded.
Let's say something real quick, Matt, because you come in and say these things all the time. Knowing that we just told you how one car theft is actually, they report is 8, when it's actually one truck. Okay? Stats can be played with. And if you, Matt, stop. You have to stop. Sometimes you have to stop. Well, we have to look at all different types of law enforcement, and right now we do that for special events, but not as routine, because we do have police officers on beats that are close by, and they're within 5 minutes. They'll be there in 5 minutes. Bike patrol person can't get there that fast. Okay. Well, now that we've had all our questions, and I hope that you, yes. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you a question about your long-term plans of the city. You mentioned that soon will be a whole city. At what point do you think that the city you will consider that the city is built up and we are not going to have more developments?
Listen, I know we just discussed the whole thing about long-term, a lot of stuff. But when I said city's almost finished, you look at the projects that are out there planned now, there's not other housing projects on the line. We are looking at what we've got. And the commercial, you know where the commercial is. It's all done. If you think you're going to go outside the city and develop outside of the city, good luck. Because I was one of those that did SOAR. And the people in this town will not vote for expansion out into the farmland. Where are you from? Curiosity. I mean, live now. Okay. Because this city is different. The county's different. We're rated the #1 county to live in the United States. Even though we're 23rd best place to live, Thousand Oaks is 78th in the list. So we've got some good things going on in our county, and people in the county don't want to disturb what's occurring, you know, trying to save things, save ag land, have open space in between cities. Not, if you're used to being in LA, used to being Orange County, don't come to Ventura County, because we're not going to grow into that kind of thing, I think, as long as a lot of people in office now. No. Unless is that what you wanted?
I was just curious that what is your goal, like 50,000 and then you stop? Or?
No, it's not population numbers. It's your zoned land. What land is zoned inside the city. And you can see that it's coming down to the end. Is that okay? Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate the audience there for bearing with us and listening to some of the things that are happening in Camarillo. And I think we're doing a good job. So thank you, everyone.